Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Marion White, and with me is my co-producer and co-host since the Ice Ages, I think.
Beginning of time.
At least since the early 1990s, Ken Bialo.
Yes.
Ken, who served as mayor in the village of Larchmont for 4 years, was trustee on the Larchmont Village Board for 11, and you had countless other non-paying positions in the village. So thank you.
Thank you, Marion, for pointing that out. Kind of get what you pay for.
Not at
Good
all.
work. Thanks, Marion.
Well, you won elections, so there were choices.
Yeah, I guess.
Unlike now.
Yes, this is true. The late lamented Larchmont Village Republican Party is lamented only by us.
Well, there are a few more.
Oh, there? Oh,
Yes,
good.
you know,
All right. Maybe
10
they
or
watch
12.
Are you going to admit to being the Larchmont Village Republican Party chair? Are you going to admit to that?
Yes, I was the last one, I guess.
You were the
well,
last
no,
one. You took it right, you jumped right down into the pit with it. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 15 years, Marion.
Really?
4 years as trustee. Yeah, it was 15 years.
Oh, okay. Well, time flies.
It does.
Well, what we love better than anything is discussing Furniture Share House because a real dynamo runs it.
Yes.
And is supported by some wonderful, caring people, such as yourself.
Yes. If we are referring to the Furniture Share House that I think you're referring to.
Yes. Isn't there only one?
Two plugs. I have two plugs.
Okay.
One plug is for Murphy Brothers, who are opening a self-storage facility on Fenimore and Waverly, I think.
Oh, okay.
And on October 20th, they're having an event for local realtors, which includes a special cooperation and promotion for Furniture Share House. So all you real estate operators out there, all you how do you say that? Realtors. You don't say relators, you say realtors. Realtors. Wake up, it's October 20th, and go to this event at Murphy Brothers' new building, and there's a special promotion for Furniture Share House that will greet you there.
Awesome.
In addition, several of the people who volunteer at Furniture Share House actually live at a homeless shelter.
Really?
Yep. In White Plains, called Open Arms. And it turns out that Open Arms has done a huge expansion and modernization. That is really a project and a half for a men's shelter to get enough money to do to kind of double their size. And did a gigantic renovation. I just wanted to give them a shout out because they're great, and the people who are there or who volunteer for Furniture Share House are great, and the organization is great, and it's in White Plains.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Which is almost local. So that's
well, it is. From looking down from an airplane, it's very local.
Yes.
Well, I have. This is the It's Hard to Believe department. Did you know that there is a Mamaroneck and Rye Deer Commission, and they intend to move forward with a bow hunting solution to cull the neighboring deer herd. Now, I have deer in my backyard in the winter because I can see the tracks. Do you have deer in your backyard?
I don't know. We have rodents.
You have a dog.
We have rodents. No. We have yes, and we have raccoons and skunks. And I haven't seen a deer back there.
Okay. Well.
Our neighbors have chickens, which they keep.
And do they get up at 5 in the morning?
I have no idea. They're on the other side of the property, which is great.
Okay, yeah.
Nice to have chickens, but not near us.
So the plan would allow limited bow hunting at the Marshlands Conservancy in Rye, a 147-acre county-owned public space. So I guess it's not like they're aiming to do this in the village of Larchmont just yet. But I think it's hard to be mixing bow hunters and where people go, because things can happen. So
this is a concern.
Well, it's a concern to me.
There are hunting accidents, you know. Didn't we have a vice president once who shot one of his hunting companions?
Yes, we did.
Accidentally.
That was not a great moment.
That was.
Well, that's sort of what I'm worried about.
Moment.
That's sort of what I'm worried about. If I see people running through my backyard with bows and arrows.
Yes. Call the Army.
Because they say here that you have to be a real sharpshooter to be able to be part of this program, but.
Yeah, but mistakes happen.
Yeah.
So,
well,
so that's your concern, and you're upset
that
about
they're going to be in my backyard. Yes,
in your
it certainly is.
So keep them on the marshlands.
Well, but people are there too.
Yes, I know.
It's a public space.
Yes, it is. So they'd have to close it to humans
to
allow for the hunting, or else all the humans have to wear red hats.
Like our Christmas hats.
Just like our Christmas hats.
Well, I think I don't know much about dealing with deer, and I would like to cull the deer population, but I'm not sure bows and arrows is the way I would think was a great way to do it.
Somebody up county was trying a population control through birth control kind of thing, and it was I think they were tagging the deer and then giving them some sort of an injection that would reduce fertility. And I don't know whether I saw it on the weekend, I think, and I don't remember whether they said it was a success or a failure. But if it was a success, it wasn't a great success. It was a modest success. This is a different way to do things. Very different.
Well, I hope we will be following this story carefully. And
Yes.
if there's any note about person Mrs. Deer hits bystander, we will bring it here.
We will bring it here.
Yes.
You will have heard it first here. Okay.
So you had some public hearings.
I do. I just love the Village of Larchmont government. It's just so much fun. This issue of, I don't even know what the name of this publication is.
Larchmont Ledger.
Oh, yes. It's hard to connect those two words. Anyway, says there are going to be public hearings. They're actually having a public meeting this month, which is very unusual for the All Democrat Board. Usually they have a meeting in one of the restrooms or someplace else where there's no public access.
Well, and the public only speaks at about, the 20th down the list.
Yes.
So
well, I don't think
why
they
would
have
anyone
20,
come
they don't
to
have 20
speak?
things. They don't do 20 things. Their
Okay.
meetings are 25 minutes, and they don't do anything as far as I can tell, except make trouble. Can I talk about the streetscape? Have you driven down Chatsworth Avenue? Between Vanderburg and on the one side and the bridge on the other side, going down Chatsworth, crossing over Pond.
Oh, that's a mess.
Have you? No, it's worse than a mess. They're done, and it's disgusting. Here's
Really?
what they did. They took down all the trees.
Right. We're
Former
Tree
mayor,
City.
former mayor says, A, we were Tree City. B, architecture in downtown Larchmont is disgusting. It's incoherent, it's ugly, with the exception of one block down on Palmer from the ice cream store down towards the movie theaters. There's nothing there, it's just garbage. There's nothing
Random
by way
stuff.
of, it's just built by people who weren't paying attention to what they were doing and didn't give a damn. So, when we were redoing things on the Post Road side, we put a lot of trees on. This is 2003. We put a lot of trees in there. Why? And I can't remember who it was. It was a fellow from down on near the water came to one of our board meetings, and he said, "Well, it sounds to me like you guys are talking about trees being the thing that is most important because it hides the architecture and also provides a uniting theme across the sort of miserable storefronts."
That's probably not quite what he said.
That's exactly what he said. And we all said, wow, that's exactly right. So we planted a lot of trees in the Post Road, which, by the way, if you noticed in maybe April or May, this village board, this mayor, took all those things down with the exception of about 4. And people are complaining to me. I actually called the DPW and I was told, oh, it's Con Ed. And I said, it's not Con Ed. If it's Con Ed, then you're even more pitiful than I thought you were. Because if you really want to wrestle with Con Ed about the trees, you call them and say, look, I'm sending somebody down. This is what we used to do. We used to send Joe Morgan down there. We're going to watch what you're doing, and we're going to allow you to do some things, and some things we're not going to allow you to do, and you're not going to be able to do it. So, the village, cut down all these trees because Con Ed said so.
So that doesn't make sense.
It's just pitiful. Anyway, so they wiped the trees out on the Boston Post Road. Now you get over to Chatsworth Avenue and you're driving towards the highway, right? And what greets you when everybody in the world is trying to clean up visual pollution?
Right.
Except for Times Square, which by definition has its own character built around the idea of being visually polluted, right?
We ought to go do an on-site show there.
We should.
That's an
so
aside.
they have these pitiful little lampposts, like no trees, pitiful little lampposts, maybe 4 or 5 to a block with lights at about this big, so that if you stand underneath it, you won't be able to see your finger, right? And protruding from the top across the vertical is a horizontal and another horizontal on the bottom, and they have 2, count them, 2 commercials on each side of the pole.
Okay.
The such and such shop, the such and such shop, the such
Those
and
are
such shop.
commercial
Wait a second.
ads?
And the so and so organization. And there, if you look at that block, it's revolting. It's absolutely revolting.
I never
All you
noticed.
can see is this crapola on the verticals, and I'm sorry, on the horizontals, and it's 2 on each side of the light post. It's totally shocking. I mean, really shocking. No trees, no trees.
They must have paid. The commercial ventures must have paid for
Well,
this.
that's a hell of a way. If they had put that to a vote instead of doing it in the restroom, put it to a public vote, whether people are interested in having the place look like. Let's see, what could it look like? There's a street in Tucson where it was a very famous photograph. If you use a long lens, you can collapse the depth perception,
Right.
and you get advertisement for fast food and gas stations, and fast food and gas stations, fast food and gas stations for like a mile. That's what this looks like. If you'd ask people whether they prefer that or they'd prefer the revenue stream that comes from this, whatever these 50 or 75, what you call them, banners. I guess you'd call them banners.
That makes sense.
Yeah, whatever the revenue stream is. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out.
Check it out. Everybody out there, check it out. It's really pitiful.
No, I'm so surprised they would do commercial things. But
You're dealing with, you're not dealing with the old Larchmont here. You're dealing with the new paradigm for a junkie place. Anyway, they're having a public hearing on an amendment to the village code, which reads motor vehicles, power tools, and construction equipment. And here's what the newspaper says. Of course, you never know whether this is right or not. Preventing construction on Sundays and some holidays. Preventing construction on Sundays and some holidays. I remember when I'll tell you who it was. It was Chris Verney, proposed that we limit the hours of construction on weekends so they didn't start before, I think it was either 9 or 10 on Saturdays or Sundays. I mean, it's probably Sundays. And on weekdays, not before 8 o'clock. No power tools, no construction. So, this is now no construction whatsoever on Sundays and some weekends. What could have prompted this? I don't know. Did all the churches rise up and come and say, if you don't allow any construction, then we'll have more people who come to church? Maybe.
I don't see a connection there.
Yeah, well, neither do I. I don't. But, can you imagine you're working on a project, the outside of the building is done, there's an inside part to the building that you would like to do. You would like to get it done. For whatever reason, you would like to get it done in less than 6 months, which is the typical time for a project, right?
It certainly seems to be.
Right, yours is going to be longer.
Yeah.
Anyway, drill a couple of holes, run some BX cable through, lay down a couple of slices of the floor or whatever it is, put some sheetrock up, tape the sheetrock, smear that stuff on it that you put on before paint. How could anybody possibly care that something like this is going on inside your house on Sunday? Is it the contractor's truck in front of their house that is offensive? Is that what this is about?
The truck could still be there because he could be talking to people, not, working. I mean, so you can't.
Not constructing.
Yes.
Absolutely correct. So maybe the truck is not the answer. Well, what could possibly be the answer? To somebody who's smearing that stuff on the wall, trying to get it ready for painting or plugging up holes or what?
It's just having more rules.
What do these people, what are they doing?
Well, they think they're there to make rules.
Apparently.
We've got enough.
Really?
Well, that's my opinion.
What?
Talk about rules.
Talk about rules.
Tell me about the water meters.
Did you get a letter dated August 21, 2015?
Yes, I did.
A personal letter addressed to Dear Resident. Did you get that from Village Hall directly from the office of the mayor?
Yes.
Huh? Signed by both the mayor and the new village administrator, who's what, 23 years old?
Well, I think he was 30.
He was 30. Oh, okay. So he's got it. He's got it figured out. Okay. So here, the Board of Trustees in a restroom meeting recently approved a project to replace most of the water meters in the village. Now, I want you to know about this. When we started in 1991 as trustees on the village board, as the only two Republicans on the village board,
Right.
they were talking about replacing the water meters. Joe Morgan was talking about replacing the water meters.
Well, water meters.
Well, because the village runs the water delivery
Right.
system, we could talk about that for hours. That would be so much fun.
We'll dedicate a special show.
Oh, it's just so much fun. We could build a little water tank here, a little water tank there, and have
But you
gravity.
digress.
But I digress. Anyway, so since 1991, and then undoubtedly we're talking about it before we got there, because they didn't just open up that can of worms
Weren't the
for us.
water meters inside and they
They
need to
are
move them
inside.
outside?
Yes. Yes.
They aren't outside? They're still inside?
Mine's still inside.
Okay.
Why would I want it outside? Why do I care?
Well, I guess Con Edison changed things to being outside.
I don't know.
So
The gas
they
meter.
could-
The gas meter is still inside. I don't want the gas meter outside. I want to be
Okay.
fooling around with the
Well,
gas.
so the people could drive by and not have to come
It's
and
not
read.
even driving by. It's if you really want to do something, get it to read automatically and electronically in some
Right.
computer thing, right?
Right.
You set it up. It's a sender. It's a receiving unit. Check this address. Check 8 Dawes Place. Check 10 Shepherd. Just do it electronically. I don't know what they're doing about this, but it seems to me that before they get involved in something which is 25 years old, at least as an issue, they ought to take on the water tanks. Because do you remember in the 2006 election, my opponent said, oh, and Ken avoided doing the water tanks,
I guess I
which
remember that.
which we had actually studied and were prepared to do, but we were only going to replace, we weren't even going to replace the tank, we were going to knock one down and put some pumps in.
Okay.
And save some money and some storage and maintenance costs. Wow. Would you think that a tank is more important to the water system than changing the meters from an indoor meter to an outdoor meter?
Nothing's ever been done
Not
with
a
Oh, so you
blessed-
were attacked on that.
Yes, and
but
they did
nothing was done.
Nothing. It was, it was Hillary-esque. Let's invent some garbage and pull it down and say, wow, that must be true, and then find some newspaper twerp who just write about it and say, oh yeah, of course that's true. Oh, it's terrible. Don't you think that the tank would be, and we actually have 2 tanks, and they've now deteriorated an additional 10 years. 2.
Wow.
One of was supposedly on its last legs because according to the engineer who'd like to replace it, and his construction friends over here, oh yeah, that's really gone. That was in 2006. One was really gone and one was okay gone. And they haven't replaced
Gone is connected to both.
Either.
Yeah, so why do we need water meters?
Well, what's the first priority? Having the water come to the village or having no water and making sure that you have the most modern meter if somebody's outside?
Well,
Another triumph of the Larchmont Village Board.
okay, INI.
Yes, what about it?
Well, I don't know. Those are your initials.
I. Okay, so read that. Read that a little bit.
For over a decade, state, county, and municipal officials have failed to effectively address sewer overflows and leaking sewer pipes in Westchester County.
So,
Yes.
because that's so, that's first of all factually incorrect, right? Who speaks that? It's the person who's director of Save the Sound. Well, I have to say the sound has been improved lots. Thank you, Save the Sound. That was great. But let's not get hysterical, right? Didn't we talk about this last time? I, inflow and infiltration.
No, I don't think we did.
Okay, so infiltration, the water in the groundwater from heavy rain seeps into cracked pipes and goes down to the sewer treatment plant and overloads the treatment plant so that the treatment plant, instead of doing a full job with the
Oh, right,
sewage
then it can only do a
can
partial.
only does a partial job. And inflow is where people pump water from their sump pumps in the basement or other sources and put them into the sewer system. They're not supposed to be hooked up to the sewer system. They're supposed to go to the storm drain system, and instead they're hooked up to the sewer system. Same problem. Too much water at the plant. The plant can't treat the whole thing. I thought we talked about this last time.
Well, maybe
we've
we
been
did,
working.
but
We've
I'm
been working on
fascinated
that.
by it, you know?
It's just we've been working on this for years, and now the DEC comes down and says this has to be fixed.
Oh, that's right,
This is
and
the
we
20
have to fix
The
it.
$20 million fix. We at the bottom of the watershed.
Yeah,
All that water
okay,
comes
now
down
I'm
this
getting
way,
mad again.
right?
I remember getting mad
We have to
last
fix
time.
it. You fix it. You, Mr. State, fix it. Really, seriously, we put a lot of money into this and a lot of effort and a humongous amount of time to fix it. It didn't come out perfect, but that we did what they wanted. You want something else now? You do it. Don't tell us to do it. We did what we were supposed to do, and if it didn't turn out to be exactly what you wanted, then it's not going to be too bad on us, it's too bad on you. This is like, this is government agencies, kind of bureaucrats doing whatever they want. Well, that didn't work, so just do it again, or do it 3 times, or do it 5 times. I mean, that's arrogance beyond imagination, and I don't care who brought the lawsuit or who brought it to whose attention. That's just a bunch of baloney.
Talking about arrogance of agencies, the housing situation,
Yes,
HUD versus Westchester.
yes. What do you want to say about that?
Well,
You have something to say.
Yes.
Let's get it out
the
there.
Wall Street Journal has an editorial, Westchester Wronged. It's as close as
Wronged.
Wronged.
E-G-E-D.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's as close as Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino will get to the apology he deserves. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit declared last week that, quote, there's been no finding at any point that Westchester actually engaged in housing discrimination.
Uh-oh. Do you know what Mr. Cuomo said about our county executive, Rob Astorino, in last year's governor race?
Oh, I'm sure he said horrible things.
He said all these things right over here.
That he disrespects minorities because he's being sued for discrimination by the federal government.
Uh-oh. Another lie from a politician. How could that be?
At issue in this case was a suit brought by Westchester against HUD over federal affordable housing dollars the agency wanted to reallocate elsewhere. The judges noted the case raises big picture questions. How much control may HUD exert over local policies?
So,
The court vindicated Mr. Astorino and the county on the larger point that HUD has shown no evidence of actual discrimination. It's further evidence that the Obama administration plays the race card based on politics, not facts.
well,
End quote.
end quote. Wall Street Journal, what's the date? You could look it up. What's the date?
Friday, October 2nd.
Okay, so that's last week and a half ago. Last week? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be Friday,
Week
October
from
2nd.
Friday.
It can't be Friday, October 2nd. Friday was
Right,
October
no, because that
9th,
was the
right?
9th,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
okay, all right. So, what is...
So we have 5 minutes.
We only have 5 minutes? Oh,
Yes.
this is so unfair. So, what is the latest episode? Aside from the fact that the court said there was no actual discrimination, it said HUD could reallocate the $10 million, right? That it refused to pay over to Westchester County for community development block grants in 13 and 14. And that was the result of there was the order that was entered, but in the meantime, in the opinion, it said there was no affirmative discrimination. Well, guess what? The housing monitor appointed by the court to monitor a settlement that was entered into in 2006, 7, 8, before Rob Astorino became the county executive, entered into by Andy Spano because he would sign CDBG applications on the representation from a clerk in his administration that all the requirements for CDBG applications had been met, which the clerk took no pains to find out about. Oh, and it turns out they weren't. So the county gets sued by the feds, and immediately, this was a time when there was a Democrat majority, immediately the county throws up its hand and says, we give up. Can you give me a gun? I'd like to shoot myself in the head. Oh, okay, sure. So Mr. Spano decided that he would settle this thing, and he got the Board of Legislators, and it was the representative from the town of America, the village of Larchmont, that tipped the balance. It just bad judgment. We were going to pay $30 million. The county was going to pay the federal government $30 million on this clerk's nonsense. That's what actually happened.
Wow.
It's going to pay $30 million and erect 750 units of affordable housing. Well, the county doesn't build affordable housing because properties are owned by the municipalities. So the monitor says, well, you've got to do what I say. I want you to report to me on what's holding up. Well, the county had 750 units by the deadline, except that in where? Chappaqua, home of Hillary Clinton. They reneged on a deal which was funded and supported by the county to build, I think it's 28 units of affordable, 51, I'm sorry, nope, 28 units of affordable housing, which would have brought the total over 750 by the deadline. Refused to do it because they had objections from local residents. Was Hillary Clinton anywhere to be seen? Did she stand up for minority rights? Did she stand up for diverse and affordable housing? Not a blessed word. And the town of Chappaqua, I believe it's a town, yes. Town of Chappaqua has caused the federal monitor to say, along with one of the assistant U.S. attorneys who studied the problem, to say that the county should be fined $60,000 a day for missing the deadline. Are you listening to that? $60,000 a day for missing the deadline. Missed because the town of Chappaqua reneged on a deal that was financed and approved by the County of Westchester, but rejected at the end of the day by the locals, with no alternative immediately made available, to the point where the powers that be from the Department of Housing and Urban Development come in and say $60,000 a day. So now the regulations coming out of Washington, not only, and this was a new set of regulations that was issued maybe in the spring, not only say how many people of different varieties have to live in one particular area, which doesn't make too much sense, and some areas are too expensive even for the people who live there, much less people who are going to get support of there. You're going to pay $5 million for a house in Harrison? That's completely insane. But they're not only going to tell you how many people have to live where, they also are going to tell you that you have to report every 3 to 5 years on the extent the extent of your quotes affordable housing diversity development.
We're going to have to pick this up for our next
This
show,
is
but
insane.
I'm now thoroughly depressed.
You hear Rob screaming about this, you know why, because this is political nonsense. Absolutely. Chappaqua was doing this so that the county would go down on this issue. Yeah. And then so the press could say, oh my goodness, it's Rob Astorino, he's terrible. No.
Okay, take a deep breath.
It was Hillary.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
And thank you to the talent on the other side of the cameras.
Who are still here.